Welcome to the Marvel Cinematic University podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Canton III, and we are here on a Friday special edition as a new trailer was released for Captain America Brave New World. But you know what's also brave? The MC University Pod Patreon, patreon.com/MC University Pod, where you can get our bonus content. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is out now. We'll have the subscriber mailbag. We do a lot of other different things. Me and Jake might have a little chat after this about random other things, and of course, you get the Discord for $3, and appreciate everybody's support on that. So let me introduce my co-host, the super producer, Jake Christie. Jake, how are you?
I'm doing well. Happy to be talking on our Friday about another trailer. 2 trailers in 1 week.
Yeah, I know, and we could get to that portion a little bit later. Marvel's been a little more loose with their stuff, and I have some thoughts
Mm-hmm.
about that. But let's talk about this trailer. As I think the surprising thing for me watching this was how much it seems like they're leaning into the best parts of what a Captain America movie could
Yeah.
be in terms of the political intrigue and suspense.
Yeah. I because like a tone of a trailer off it's not always a direct translation of what the tone of a movie is going to be. Like that's kind of a trailer could be misleading in that way. And so like I don't want to say like ooh they're doing like a political spy thriller again because you very easily that very easily could just be like 3 scenes. But assuming that we're not being okey doked, I think that this is really nice to see because although this is obviously going to have world build complications, there is tactility to like we've all seen movies with that take place in the Oval Office where people meet with the president and there's a scandal, like that's all stuff that could happen outside of a superhero movie. And I feel like if that's executed well, then even if like it's not the superhero I'm most interested in and it's not a storyline that immediately comes to me. Like I'm excited to see if they actually do stretch their muscles with different genres because we talk all the time about like, oh, Winter Soldier is actually this genre and Doctor Strange. The fact of the matter is they really aren't. They're all superhero movies more than anything. Like
Yeah.
Captain America: The Winter Soldier has a lot more in common with Doctor Strange than it does, the Parallax View. Like it just does.
Yeah.
And so, but the fact that they edited the trailer in this way the fact that they know that this is a good thing to sell leads me to believe that they made some decisions that I probably will like in the movie.
And clearly, it looks like they made some significant changes in some of the reshoots, particularly the addition of Giancarlo Esposito as
Mm-hmm.
George Washington Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I was just on the George Washington Bridge this past Sunday, headed to my cousin's house in Jersey. So it's
Yeah.
just ironic that we get a George Washington Bridge.
What I asked on
Yes.
the Discord was, does he have a brother named Throg's Neck Bridge? Which that's another bridge in New York for everyone. I could have said Brooklyn Bridge, but Throg's Neck is a funny name to imagine.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely, absolutely. We'll get to some thoughts on him later, but I think it's always funny because you read you read Tej's timeline earlier today
Mm.
and going off on Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson, and I
What does he
think
call him again?
DEI cap hashtag not my cap. Oh god, it's just too much, man. But I think the thing and he may be a little bit more sensationalized in his
Mm-hmm.
critiques of the Sam Wilson Anthony
Yeah.
Mackie thing. I think for me, just in terms of the actual,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's always going to be difficult for me to go into a film with Anthony Mackie as the lead and be like all jazzed up and
Yeah.
charged up. Now, I will say, adding Harrison Ford into this adds a
Yes.
little spice,
Of
and
course.
I think I think what we see off the bat is the relationship between Wilson and Ross,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a nice little. See, it's not combative yet,
Mm-hmm.
but there's the sense of you scratch my back, I scratch
Mm-hmm.
yours, and Sam is seemingly hesitant to do that because of everything that's occurred before with the government, the events of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and everything else. So that off the bat, I found interesting. What did you think of seeing Harrison Ford as Ross?
I mean, I think he's very necessary because people like talk all the time like what is a movie star, and like people will talk that will give examples of what is a movie star, and like Anthony Mackie is just not a movie star. He's not. They've tried to make him. He just doesn't have the gravitas, the charm. Like, he is serviceable in things he can do, and he has talents, and he's a good addition to a lot of movies. But like, is he someone that you will put faith in a movie to like succeed based on his charisma? Absolutely not. And so I think it's very necessary to have someone like to have a movie star in this movie, and so to choose one of the greatest movie stars of all time, who is like an effortlessly a movie star. He has sleepwalked through performances that I enjoy. I think that that really helps, and it really adds a gravitas. And there's an energy that he has in this trailer that, like, I'm glad that he is playing this role now. All respect to the late William Hurt, that like you can see in a way how this guy got elected. Whereas, like, for example, if William Hurt was playing this character, like, no,
yeah,
he's not gonna get elected. I also do love that they mentioned he shaved the mustache, and I'm like, that's both because Harrison Ford definitely didn't want to wear a fake mustache, and also, did you know that it's been over 100 years since the United States has elected a president with facial hair?
Well,
so
another fact that Jake knows that nobody else
it,
does.
I mean, I'll say this: if people know the presidents, you can just work backwards and realize that it's William Howard Taft. But my larger point is that he plays. He plays the earliest scene in it where he's talking about adding Captain America back to the military, which we obviously know is going to be a negative plot, like a sinister plot.
Yes.
He is able to play it with enough like charm that like it doesn't feel like, oh my god, we know what this plot's gonna be. It feels like there's gonna be, you'll understand why he's conflicted. Because if William Hurt was like, we're gonna add you to the military, he'd be like, absolutely fucking no. You know what I mean? And so yeah, I'm really excited to see him, and I'm glad that he's all over this trailer because I think he's in a lot of this movie. I gather, which is great because once again, he's a movie star. He should be all over the movie if they can get him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we could get right to it since we're talking about Ford now. At the very end of this trailer, we got the reveal of Red Hulk, which Red Hulk throwing the shield into the ground, which it seems like he and Sam are going to throw down at some point. That's very exciting just from the actuality of it, but where that conflict grows and where that comes from, as we have a lot of interesting characters and antagonists that are thrown around in this movie, and well, we got Samuel Stearns, the leader.
But can I ask you a question though about Red Hulk?
Yeah.
How do you feel about them revealing Red Hulk in this trailer? Because I saw people were angry about it.
I don't feel that bad because if anybody if you're a casual fan, maybe. If you're somebody who is like me,
well, no, the take I was seeing was that it's spoiling it for casual fans.
I guess, but okay. Oh, you know what? Let me make this point because this falls in line with what I was talking about, alluding to with Marvel lately with some of their stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like over the last year and change, and we've covered this on this podcast a lot, Marvel has had a lot of negative press. And this movie has already, even before it's coming out, has had a lot of negative press for a lot of reasons. I think that there has been a very steady focus over the last 6 months when we talk about the way that they market stuff, the way that they're getting looser with the times that they release these trailers, as opposed to waiting till like very, very close to when the movie's coming out to release them. The fact that they now have their own podcast. Shout out to a friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
Yeah, friend of the show, Preeti, who hosts that podcast where, you know, she talks to Brad Winderbaum and she talks to Kevin Feige, and Marvel is being a little more willing to give up the gab in terms of everything that's going on in the MCU, as opposed to what has been the last 3 years, which has been very like hold everything tight to the vest. We don't want, we're very secretive and all these other things, as people are snooping around for leaks. I think that Marvel has had an about face on this and is trying to get out in front of. And remember, this movie is released in February, so February is not exactly the greatest time for anything to come out generally. So you got to sell people on it. So honestly, like we just talked about Anthony Mackie not being a selling point for this movie. So you're gonna have to sell it one way or another. Hence the Red Hulk reveal.
That my exact point was just to kind of snidely say they want people to see the movie. Like, I think that, for example, there are a lot of cameos that we know are going to be in Deadpool and Wolverine that we have not seen in the trailers. Why? Because they know people are already going to see the movie.
Yeah.
Like, they I understand the point of like you don't want to reveal it, but I think that one, I also I don't think that it's everything where he doesn't turn into Red Hulk until like 30 minutes left. So it's not like
Yeah,
they're spoiling the ending. And also, it's like anyone who pays attention to anything knows, and that stuff trickles out. I think in a lot of ways, and like I don't know. I just think that it's gonna be it's such an interesting part of the movie, and like that is if I was trying to sell someone on this movie, that would be one of the first things I would say is that 80-year-old Harrison Ford turns into a Hulk.
yeah,
Like that's actually like one of the more interesting things. See, I wanted to discuss that because I saw people making that point, and I understand that,
I do
but I
too.
think that like I think you and I are exactly the same page where it's like Marvel needs to make some of its own press. And like that might be spoiling some stuff because I think people think that like either you have to spoil a ton in order to get people in the theater, or spoil nothing in order to get people in the theater. And the truth is, it's a happy medium. It's a mix of both. You have to spoil some, but not too much. And I think that Red Hulk is probably like, for example, the fact they never show the leader on screen, I think is a deliberate choice. Whereas, so like, I think it's not like they're showing everything.
I think and that's the thing about the leader. The leader to me should really be the main antagonist of the film, who
Mm-hmm.
incites the conflict between Ross and Sam. So
Mm-hmm.
that, at least in my eyes and how I'm viewing this movie and everything that's supposed to be going on in it. So the fact that they don't show him tells you that he's going to be a very important part of this movie that they don't want to reveal just yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you consider everything like around them, and this is like really what it comes. This is really what it comes down to, man.
Mm-hmm.
Marvel needs something good to happen with this. They really do. They need one of the.
Mm-hmm.
They need this particular movie, and I don't know how it's gonna do,
Mm-hmm.
but they need this particular movie to kind of bang. Like they did,
Mm-hmm.
they need one of those like, oh shit, this Marvel movie did really really well, and we didn't
Mm-hmm.
expect it to. They need one of those like back in the day, like this could be their Guardians of the Galaxy if it's sold well enough and people are really
Mm-hmm.
interested. And this is the thing about, and we could take this back to what the business has been over the last 2 years and such, and
Mm-hmm.
people not going to movies and things along the like. If the shit is good, people will go. Just
Mm-hmm.
like people expecting Deadpool and Wolverine to
Yeah.
blow out numbers and do a lot of things,
Mm-hmm.
everything that you hear about it, they did the 35-minute screening for most folks, and everybody
Mm-hmm.
who's come out of that, basically every review that I've read is like, holy shit, I can't
Mm-hmm.
wait to see more of this. So I
Mm-hmm.
think from a selling point, that's very important. So like as far as like the overall portion of reviewing revealing
Yeah.
the Red Hulk or not, I think it's a definite must. It's like they can't. It's one of those things. Marvel can't afford to hold cards
Yeah,
anymore.
because also think too is the leader is not like a famous villain. Tim
Right.
Blake Nelson, God love him, is not a famous person. Who is the villain you're selling if not the Red Hulk, right?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
it can't. I mean, I love Giancarlo Esposito, but it can't just be him with a gun.
Exactly. Exactly. And yeah, we could talk about him. We could talk about him briefly. Like I think one of the cool things is when you get a veteran actor
Mm-hmm.
who not only has the charisma and the chops, but also very excited to be in this.
Yeah.
As we've seen like in the way that he's promoted some of the stuff today, it is going to be cool to see him as an antagonist, a gun wielding antagonist. Like just basically a brief description of George Washington Bridge. He's a Shield agent. I'm sure they'll play this differently here, but he's a Shield agent who is very sophisticated in weaponry and strategy and things along those lines. And he's tangled with a lot of the Marvel
Mm-hmm.
characters in the past. So I see that this won't be any different. Esposito has already stated in the past that this is not a one-off for him, so he'll be appearing in
Mm-hmm.
other things. So I think this is great that we get to see him in this and see what his character looks like if he could shake some things up. What did you think?
I mean, I'm excited to see him because I think he's a type of actor I love who like was like a working actor, like a real jobbing actor until he was in like his 40s and 50s. So like he does not look down on material at all because he's like I was doing straight to video shit. Like I'm not, and so I think that that's where a lot of the enthusiasm comes from because like he doesn't think he's better than anything, and so like it's not the case with Marvel and a lot of characters. And I mean, this is I think is going to happen with Harrison Ford to some extent, where like they don't fully commit because they think they're better than the material on some levels. Like no, Giancarlo Esposito does not think he's better than any material. That's why he's like that's why he's so good in genre stuff, which you might not expect. You know, if you saw him in Do the Right Thing and The Usual Suspects, you wouldn't be like, this guy is great in sci-fi and fantasy. But like, no, he is great because he like will commit to that as hard as he'll commit to anything else.
Exactly. Yeah, and yeah. So I want to see what he looks like and how he's played in this. I think on another person that we see, we can get this portion out of the way, and it's not something that you can really get out of the way. You got to kind of face it. Is the Ruth character,
Mm-hmm.
who is also known as Sabra in the comics, that a lot of folks, more so online than
Yeah.
everywhere else, have been talking about the whole Israeli connection
Yeah,
and
just to sum it up, because I don't think we do ourselves any favor trying to talk around it. Like, I don't think we talk about
yes,
euphemistically that it's a character that is originally part of the Israeli military in origin,
yes,
right? And I know they changed her origin for the movie, but also there's the thing I think a lot of people are upset about is, and this is a thing that I don't. There's no good answer to, is
no,
the actress herself was a former member of the Israeli military, and
right.
as you
And
can
this was
understand,
somebody who was exempt and didn't have to join, and they joined anyway.
yeah. So that specific detail is what really gives me pause. 'Cause it's like, I don't really ever want to besmirch anyone. Like, I'm not gonna try to hold people to the standard of like going to jail. You know, I'm not gonna be like, oh, if you didn't go to jail, then. But like, if she didn't have to, that's kind of hard. But also, there's a lot of consternation about like, why didn't they
Yes,
cut her out of the movie? I think I will just say, even though they did a lot of reshoots, I think people don't understand how movies are made if you think you just cut a character out of them. Like, it's really hard to
we've
do that.
had we've had we've had this discussion offline the other
Mm.
day, and I think the one thing I'll say from that was a very astute point, was the fact that, hey, you cut them, you please a certain amount of people, but there might be other people who you will not be pleasing,
Yeah.
and
I
and
Yes.
that's
I
a
don't kn
significant issue.
From a moral perspective, this is not I'm not sorry, this is not from a moral perspective,
Right.
but I think people greatly underestimate
Yes.
the backlash and who the backlash would be from
Yes.
if they were if Disney were to say, we're cutting this character out because of the national military that an actor served in. That would be
Hmm.
the biggest headline. Like, once again, moral stuff, but like, I just don't think people realize, like, I'm sorry, they would just be the like crazy. Like, that would be for the Walt Disney Corporation to do that would be insane.
And then on top of that, this is a film that is starring an African American lead.
Yeah, yeah,
So put that together and then ask yourself this: do you want the star of an African American lead to have all of this particular press
yeah.
on the
It's
movie,
it's
regardless of what
it's like,
the
yeah.
moral
And
standpoint is?
I think that it is. I understand people who are angry about it, and even understand people who don't want to see the movie.
Absolutely.
But I also think that it is underestimating. I think that the average person, if they heard that, would be really, because I think that a lot of people are just like, I don't think it's at the place where the average person is like, if someone is Israeli, they should be cut out of something. That's an opinion that people have,
Yeah.
but I think that people are overestimating it, as if they expect that normal people wouldn't be like, what the hell, you know?
Yeah, and I think I've always thought that, especially as this issue has transpired throughout the country and throughout the world, and how
Hmm.
people have viewed it and things along those lines. I totally get the moral conundrum of it. I totally get if you don't want to see this movie. I
Yeah.
totally 110% understand. And I just will say that there's always more than one issue at play, and there's always somebody that's going to get hurt when it comes to these things. So that always
Yeah.
has to be kept at the forefront as well. So
Yeah, I also think that they probably cut her role down a bit. I mean, I don't think that she's going to be as important as she was, a year ago.
I would probably say that's pretty true. I feel like a lot of significant changes to this movie have been made.
Yeah.
It's been pretty clear to me. Like I mean, I heard they cut out Seth Rollins' role when what they were going to do with the Serpent Society. Like they were going to have a
And
bigger.
it's just like, I'm just so sad that we're going to miss all that acting talent on screen. I'm sorry. I think I've made it clear. Unless you're like one of 5 people, I don't need to see a wrestler in your movie. It's just, it takes me out of the movie so immediately, because they act like wrestling acting is not movie acting.
But
It's
everything is
not.
wrestling, Jake.
And honestly, that might be why I'm not loving the world right now.
We'll take that behind the paywall.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So I think the other thing in this trailer that stands out, which is another question that folks who have been wondering and
Mm,
bemoaning for the past few years, is what the hell is that celestial doing in the ocean?
yeah.
And I think we're going to get our answer here. It seems like we see Sam having some fighting by
Mm-hmm.
the island of Tiamat is
Mm-hmm.
what it's going to be called. And all I know is this: it seems like a big portion of what the story is going to be revolving what's happening on that island.
Mm-hmm.
And however that goes, I think folks who are Marvel fans will be excited when they find out about that if
Mm-hmm.
they haven't already. And I want to see where that particular thing goes, but I will not spoil that for you folks
Nope.
who don't know as of yet. So that should be interesting as well. I thought the action in it seems like it seems like a lot of fun. Did you enjoy the little pieces of action that we got?
Yeah, we don't get a ton, and I'm fine with that. But it looks, like a lot of close quarter stuff. And then the flying stuff actually looks pretty good because that's gonna be obviously be so much of it. And so yeah, I guess they weren't selling it on the action so much, which I'm fine with because like the thing about Marvel is like I if action is what I'm looking for, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is not the franchise I'm gonna go to.
Mm-hmm.
So like I like the bit where he's using the shield, and I'm interested to see how what they do though generally because he really doesn't have a distinct fighting style of yet. Like I want to see what the happy medium they come up with and obviously we see some of it in Falcon Winter Soldier, but of how someone fights like Captain America, but isn't as strong as him because so much of Cap's fighting style
Is
is
his strength,
is
yeah,
about how strong he is. So
and
like
how
I
much
want
he
to
could
see
take. Yeah.
exactly, and so how does he incorporate the shield? How does he incorporate the wings? Like I think that there is a good balance to have there, and I want to see if they're able to figure that out.
Yes, yes, and yeah, Sam. Listen, Sam taking on the Hulk, I think, is at least a very interesting selling
Mm-hmm.
point for what should be the climax of the film. And just briefly, we get a new Falcon, Joaquin
Mm-hmm.
Torres. He will be back, and he will
Mm-hmm.
be playing the Falcon role. So it'll be interesting. I will tell you, I was not a big fan of him in Falcon and the Winter
I was
Soldier.
I was not. It's I don't I haven't seen him in anything else, so I don't want to judge him as an actor. But
Hmm.
the performance was giving slice of white bread in terms of charisma.
Yeah.
There just is not much there, and I think that you need a lot with Anthony because Anthony Mackie is not white bread at all. He has a lot of energy, but like I think he can't be put up against white bread because like his energy is like kind of inherently silly, and if you have someone who doesn't have something to like match that or kind of take that down a peg, I think he really can be irritating. Like I think if you don't have someone to be like, okay, man, then I think that's when Anthony Mackie is a problem as opposed to just being a part of a movie. You know?
Yes, yes, and I think to kind of close out for me in terms of just thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
Sam Wilson as a leader, like
Yeah.
this is the chance, this is the time where we get to see,
Mm-hmm.
assuming that this is the direction that they go in as Captain America leading a future Avengers team.
Mm-hmm.
It's time for Sam Wilson to step up and do it, and will he? We'll find out in 7 months.
Yep.
It should be interesting. Do you have any final thoughts, Jake?
No, I mean I'm excited. I'm more excited about this movie than I was previously because I've always been kind of down on this movie just because I don't trust Anthony Mackie. I don't trust the writing team. But I think that like they still can make a good movie. Actors who I'm not always a huge fan of, writers and directors. So like I think that like the Marvel machine is like good enough at making like quality baseline good stuff that like if a couple people have their A game, then it can be really good. And so yeah, I'm excited, and I'm yeah, and I think I like about it too is that it seems like other people are excited because what I don't want to have this happen is I don't want another minority led Marvel project to tank and for
Nah, we
people
don't. We
to
don't need that. We
no matter what anyone's feelings about Anthony Mackie is like, and I don't like turning consuming billion-dollar properties into activism because it's not obviously, but
Mhm.
like we be honest, like what will happen if another one bombs. Like it's gonna be like okay, so we're gonna do 5 what Peter Parker franchise movies and then 6 Deadpool movies. Kamala Khan, she's gonna die off screen. Like that's what we're getting if more of these flop. So yeah,
Just and that's another thing you always got to consider. I mean, you start complaining enough about not wanting stuff, then you're not gonna get it, and then you're gonna feel a type of way when it's not there. So
yeah.
just
And I
FYI.
swear to God, if this gets the Marvels again, where I have to fucking read a month and a half of no one seeing a movie, and then a month and a half of I just fired up the Marvels on Disney Plus. It was a lot of fun.
I
I
hate these
swear to
motherfuckers,
God.
man.
And the thing too is like obviously there's some people but this doesn't apply to, but it's like
Yeah.
I see you on Twitter. I see how many fucking random pairs of sneakers you buy. You can't tell me that you can't fucking go to a $10 matinee
Hey, man.
and you have to, God, stop it. Stop it.
Hey, man. That's Jake said it better than I could. So we'll find out what happens in the months and lead up. I'm sure we'll get more about this movie. So we'll see what happens with Captain America: Brave New World. But we did get a first teaser trailer, so that was fun. Jay Christie, where can we follow you, my friend?
Follow me at the J Christie. Follow me on both X, Twitter. How do I call it X? Fuck, I cannot believe I did that. Follow me
Surprise.
on.
Yeah.
I know. I was gonna do it. Thing is, I had in my mind to do it ironically.
Sounded so
and then
professional.
And then I was correcting myself, but I still said X, but I said it in a professional tone. Follow me on Twitter at the J Christie, and then also on TikTok. I've been doing some fun stuff, one a day about tweets. I'm actually gonna do a couple. There's a Marvel one I want to do in a couple days that is very great. But anyway, I'll talk about that later.
Oh, nice stuff. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter at AnthonyCanton_3. Follow the show on all platforms at MC University Pod. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you like, comment, all of those things.
And what else can they get?
And by the way, as I stated the yesterday, when we get to 250 subscribers, right now we are at 223. I will be giving away a #WashAgenda t-shirt. Well, you'll be giving one of those away, so you could let me know what color you want, what size you want, all those things.
And if you don't win that though, you can buy it yourself because they're on sale.
Exactly, they're on sale right now. You got tanks, you got hats, you got shirts, you got hoodies, you got the whole 9 yards in terms of where to get your Wash Agenda shirts.
If you find yourself falling asleep in a car dealership,
there you go. Shout out to my guy Luster.
I saw that today. I'm like, that is insanity.
Salute to him. That's my guy right there. And yes. So subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to the Patreon. It's fun to do more bonus things, and we'll have more bonus things for you as this month continues. And of course, we're not far away. We're 2 weeks, literally 2 weeks away from Deadpool and Wolverine. So we'll be all over that as we get closer. And when the movie comes out, we'll have our recap, all the bells and whistles. So appreciate everybody for listening and supporting. For Jake Christie, I'm Anthony Canton III. This has been Marvel Cinematic University.